So here on page 26 of the assembly guide, there's just a small difference here with the 4-channel Fokker in the fact that the part numbers are the same, but you'll notice on the P18, P19, you've got these two little holes here and here, and here and here. So these are the rather complex cabane struts. If you've made a Fokker D7 before, you'll be familiar with this assembly part. But those 4 struts either side form the sort of the cabane struts on the aircraft. There is a part that sits on the other side. You'll see here on the instructions it shows the P19A and P18A being attached to the other side of these strut parts, and those two have a little bit of modification in them in the fact that they've got these lozenges cut out, and those correspond to the holes there. Now obviously these holes are for the wires, the aileron control wires, as they go up to the upper wing. So when we bring the two parts together, obviously we want to avoid getting any glue in these holes, and also you can on both parts just deburr the holes themselves, just to get rid of any of the excess plastic from the laser cutting, so that it doesn't snag the control wires as it goes through. So that's just a little bit of a hint and a tip there. I won't go through the process of putting all the carbon fibre on, because it's all very very straightforward on the assembly guide. But just as I thought it would be worth pointing out those holes there, and just to make sure you're aware to avoid getting any glue in or around that area there. So just be mindful of that when you're putting it together. So we're going to take a little bit of a deviation from the assembly guide as per page 27, where these struts are shown to be attached to the top wing. We're actually going to attach these struts to the fuselage, which allows us to thread the control wires a lot more easily than if these were attached to the top wing. So what we can do here is actually shape these struts. If you've ever constructed the micro races kits before, you'll know that that the plastic is very flexible, and is also quite plastic in the fact that it will stay in position. So what we're going to do is bend this group of 3 forward like so. Actually, sorry, I'm doing it the wrong way. The sticker surface should be on the inside of the strut, so they should go that way. So you can overbend it somewhat, and then the two. We'll do the rear one next, so that should be at the same angle as that centre one there. So we'll give that a quick bend like so, and then these two shorter struts we can actually bend inwards somewhat like so. This one ditto, and then the ends of the struts, these sort of little oval bits, we can bend inwards like so, as they'll be going into the slots that are in the side of the fuselage. So there we go. So if I show you where these go now, so we've got the 2 longer struts go into the 2 slots that are positioned at the root of the wing there, and also at the forward part, the forward strut on the undercarriage. And then the other two slot into a little slot that's just there on the nose, and another one just up by the foredeck, like so. So that's how they slot in. Now obviously I haven't glued those in yet, so they will need gluing in, but as it stands at the moment, we'll just leave that there, and we can continue and do the other side. So it works in exactly the same way. You just put the bends into the struts as before, and fit it in the same way. And then obviously once you're happy that goes in the right place, then you can glue it. So we've got our cabane struts on our fuselage now, and so what we can do is thread our control wires through the two holes that we have either side of the aircraft. So and obviously what we're trying to do is not twist those either. So you have the one in the front and the one at the back. Now the one at the back should be the one that is marked with our little stain or pen mark, as I suggested at the beginning of the video. And so that's the holes should be big enough that we don't need a threader, but obviously these wires have been out in the wild for a while during the build, so they may well have frayed a little at the ends. So let's make it easy on ourselves and just use that threader to pull them through. So it was very good. I didn't manage to get any glue on the holes at all on the struts. There we go. So there we go. No twists. We're all good. So repeat the process on the other side, and we've started our process of threading the control wires through. So untangle those, make sure that one is the marked one. Yes, it is. That mark is a little bit weak though, so I might just reinforce it somewhat. There we go. So let's put that through the rear. So we've got plenty of thread there. It's not going to be short. There we go. Good. Right. We'll put that to one side, and we shall get on with the top wing. The top wing in the 3-channel model is pretty straightforward. Not so in the 4-channel. Obviously we have to create the ailerons, and we also have to put control horns on those ailerons, and there's obviously some other furniture to add to it as well. So let's get this Z13 cut out, which is Z13 there, and then I shall show you what needs to be done to create the 4-channel top wing. So first things first, let's just put that to one side. And what we're going to do is, this is a tip rather than in the assembly guide. If you've got one of these ball tools, then a way of reducing the white edge on this 1mm foam is to use the ball tool to actually just crush that edge slightly. Like so. Careful not to stray from the edge itself, otherwise you end up denting the foam. Turn over and do the same on the other side. Also makes the aerofoil a little more aerodynamic at the front. So that's got it down to a 1/2 mil, if not even more. And obviously we can do exactly the same around the edges on the tips of the wings, like so. And we can also do a similar process to the ailerons and the trailing edge too. So literally just going to go around. Obviously with these scalloped wings at the back, you've got to be a little more careful when squashing down, but the effect is quite pleasant. Go and just do that on the other side too. Now you'll notice on this wing we've actually started the cut for the ailerons, and the more eagle-eyed of you will have also noticed that the ailerons are actually slightly larger than scale. We've taken an extra rib, and just obviously so that you can get more control in flight from the from having the addition of the ailerons. Typically at this scale, control surfaces seem to be less effective, certainly ailerons, if you do them at a scale size. So that done, what we can do now is detach the ailerons from the wing. So they're already cut here and here, and there is a score running down the wing that you should be able to put your knife through. If you're not confident to do it freehand, then obviously get your straight edge and do that. But that score should help guide the knife through, and it's not particularly hard to get through the foam. So there we go. Now what we can do is on the score line, which is on the underside, we can actually start bending or putting the shape into the wing. Obviously this shape will be held by the ribs that we are going to attach to the underside. So there we go. We'll pop that to one side for now, and we shall grab our 2mm and our stickers. So on the outer parts of the wing, we have our standard D21. So we'll just remove those. Now that removes as one, but they're actually two ribs, so we just need to divide that down the middle. There we go. And then we can furnish them with so SI 16S and SI 16P. So let's do S first, which is going to be starboard side, 16S. So there are a number of ways that you can do that. Do this. What I like to do is get that 2mm foam running down the middle of that sticker, if at all possible. There we go, and then I'll fold up one side. Just pinch that along the edge to make sure it folds nicely, and then take it down the other side like so. Once again, pinch that edge just to make sure that the sticker conforms nicely to the rib. There we go, so that's going to go starboard side. Okay, so that's port at the moment, but when it's flipped over it'll be starboard side. And do the same on this side. Go. So fold down the one side to start off with. And that other side can come down too. There we go. And pinch the sticker along the fold line. Superb, and that will go on that side. So we can glue these in place now. We might as well. And once again, be careful in how this is placed, because we want the you'll notice, let's just bring that up here, we've got several slots in the aircraft wing here. Now these two slots, that one there and that one right at the back there, those are for, I can grab them, those are for the little tabs there and there. So that will sit, wrong one, but you get the idea. That will sit like so. On the wing, so the slot's there and there. And then you've got this slot here, and that's the one that the wire rigging goes through to get to the top control horn on the aileron. So what we've got to try and avoid is get any glue on that little slot there, and I know it's very close, but I'm just going to go through. Caution, excuse my head being in the way, but I need to see this. So I'll now show you. So I'm positioning it so that it's right up against the two slots that the strut will go into, the interplane strut will go into, and just avoiding that other slot like the plague. There we go. And I've got a little bit of an overhang here, so I'm just going to take that off with the knife and make sure that the sticker sits up against that wall. Good. Okay, so once again, repeat the process for the other side. And as I always say, it's always good to dry fit. So let's just see where we are with that. All looks good. Once again, got that little bit of overhang at the back there, so we'll nip that off. In fact, I could do that before I actually... There we go. And now we can add the glue and install. Go. There we are. So when you put the rib on, especially when the glue is wet, you might find that it pulls away a bit, but just let that dry off, and you can use the contact adhesive properties of the foam to foam to bring that into place. That one went down really nicely because I'd actually let the glue get pretty tacky by letting it dry whilst we fiddled around with bits and pieces there. So good. Right, we need to create the ribs for the inner part of the wing now, and they are made using D17. This D17 happens to have these little scallops in, and those are to let the control thread through, as you probably guessed. So these are just singles, so we're going to split this in half. And then the associated stickers, port and starboard. So don't forget, when the wing is upside down, port is on the right and starboard's on the left. Right, let's get this installed. So this is slightly longer, so it could be a little bit trickier. I wish they went down like that every time. Actually, it could do with shifting over a little bit. a slight curve in it, so that's better. Oh, not too much the other way. Right, once again, fold down onto the side, so then pinch the sticker to get that fold in it. Over the other side, there we go. Good. So this is our starboard side, so that should sit just there, and that little scallop I do like scallops. That should sit over where the slot is in the wing, just there, because that is where on here, that is where this little tab goes, and obviously right by that little tab are the rigging wires. So all we have to do is once again glue that into place so that the rib sits on the wing. Obviously we've got the position of the fold is indicated by the top of the foam and sticker just there, so we'll just give the sticker a final push down, make sure those folds are very much taken, then get the glue on. Obviously we don't want any glue in the gap. And get that down onto the wing. There we go, right up against those slots. Okay. Good. Right, well we'll let that dry and push it home once it's set. I'll carry on do the other one. I don't think you probably need to see me do that. I would imagine you probably got the process with the demonstration of the starboard one. So I'll get on with that, get it glued, and then we can move on to getting those ailerons set up. So we've got the wing ribs in place now and all drying, and now we need to get our ailerons in place. Now there's a combination of hinging on our ailerons. We've got some plastic hinge and the ubiquitous stickers that we use for hinging as well. So we have parts P37 and P36, and these form the two hinges on the ailerons. So let's just remove those. They're pretty simple, you can see them there. Now I can't remember which one goes on which aileron, but so that's that aileron there, that's what that one there. They are coloured so that it should be fairly obvious. So let's just pop that there. So let's go with that. So it's actually going to sit on the inside of the rib here, but obviously to one side of where the aileron controls are going. So just there. So what I'm going to do is stick that to the wing itself. So I'm just going to add to half of it and then position that onto the wing. Now there are scores on this part to create the hinge that are already there, so just pop that there. That'll do, just there. And do exactly the same on the other side. So what I suggest, because obviously you might well be building, you're probably building the other livery of this aircraft, because this one hasn't been released yet. You will be matching up some candy stripes. There we go. So I'm making sure that the hinge line itself, which is down the centre of these parts, is sitting just over where the edge, so sort of on the pivot line, as you, if you like, just there. So sticker just needs pushing in. That's fine. Good. Okay. And then you have some stickers. I think it's 3 stickers per aileron, and that is, so you got S30, 31 and 32, and then they have a suffix of S or P, obviously the S being starboard, which, as I said, because it's upside down, is on the left hand side, and P port over on that side there. So let's get these stuck as well. So S30 is going to be on the outer wing here, like so. And you match the graphics as best you can, but they can't always be super accurate. So so these are the positions that you pop. Go. And same on the other side too. So the S30 goes to the outside. Like so. I can match that up a little bit better. Okay. Go. And last one. There we go. Not too bad. That one doesn't match up so well, but the rest of them seem to be absolutely fine. So that's good. So now it's all about positioning the aileron onto the stickers. Before we do that, we'll just apply a little bit of glue onto the hinge that we've got, the plastic hinge. Go on that side. That's it. And then bring our aileron to bear. Now we're looking for a little bit of a gap so we get some movement. Doesn't have to be too much though. There we go. So we now got a decent amount of movement there. Make sure we get that. The plastic hinge is really to help the centering of the aileron itself. Because it's a pull-pull system, there is obviously an amount of slack that can work its way in. So it's always nice that the aileron can on its own return to its central neutral position. There we go. So that's giving us certainly enough movement, and the gap is pretty slender. I'd say 0.5 millimetre, if that. So obviously any less than 0.5 mil and it restricts the upward movement. That's as much as I'm getting, but that's fine, because that's certainly over what the pull-pull system can achieve anyway. So happy with that. So let's do the same on this side. There we go, once again, very similar. That's great. Fantastic. So the last part of this install is putting in the control horns, and they are plastic parts. And just trying to find them. There we go. So we've got a combination. We've got 2 P38s and 4 P39s. And so the P38 part is the control horn, and then the P39s, there's 2 per P38. Those are the little feet. So what you do is not lose There it is. There it is. Let's just pop that to one side for now. So you've got your little control, double-sided control horn. So it's quite a, that's the reverse side. So we're actually going to, because it's just a single sheet of the plastic, it's white on the inside. Now you could actually, if you want to, paint that to colour it the same as the or match the green on the other side, or another colour if you wish, a grey or something like that. But for the purposes of the demonstration, I'm going to leave it as is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide one of these lozenges, these slotted lozenges, over one end of the control horn and push that down to the centre. So you go like so. So obviously the printed side of that lozenge you want to sit on the surface of the aileron. So what I'm going to do is take the assembly that I've put together so far and just drop it in to the slot in the wing on the aileron, like so. Now I've got that on the wrong one because I've got the white on the outside and I want it on the inside, so I'll just take that out, bring it along to this one, and do exactly the same. So that all goes in fine. So what I'm actually going to do now is just add a little glue to that. So I'll just take that out as is, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the lozenge itself. Whilst it's in situ. Relatively generous for such a small piece, but obviously we want this to remain as rigid as possible. So just pop that back into the slot. So and then make sure that when it's positioned that the aileron control arms are sitting at a similar angle either side. So, and then the final part is to just pop the other lozenge over the other side to stabilize the whole thing. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue around the base there, so when it comes to sit, it will sit in some glue. Now the other way of doing this is you could just assemble the whole thing dry and then use some CA glue to attach, foam safe CA I should say. Right. Good. So that's one control horn on, as you can see there. So now when it comes to attaching the control wires, we've got something to pull and push the ailerons with. So the other thing that we can do while we're here is, if you've got a piece of wire, something like that, this needs a bit of a clean up. It's been used for the glue, the CA glue. So it's but I'm just going to pop that wire through the hole that the control wires are going to go through. I'm just going to basically check the angle going up to the top of the control horn, and just make sure, just by moving it back and forth, burnishing it slightly so that there aren't any burrs on the foam that will stop the controls from working as well. So it's all nice and smooth. There we go. I'll do the same on the other side as well while we're here. There we go. Let's do that one again just to make sure. Fantastic. Good. Okay. Well, I'll get the control horn installed on the other aileron, and we'll come back and we'll start the process of mounting the top wing to the fuselage. The aileron control horns are in place. What we're going to do now is, and these have already been assembled because they're part and parcel of the 3-channel and 4-channel assembly guide. These are the interplane struts, and what we're going to do is actually attach these to the upper wing, basically because this needs a bit of control, a bit of careful assembly, due to the fact that we're going to be putting the aileron control wires through here. So we want to make sure that we don't get glue all over the place, and we want to get these in the right position. So it's exactly the same process as the 3-channel, but obviously, as I said, we just got to be careful to get the glue in the right place and not in any way impact the control wires. So I'm just going to put the glue where it's needed on the unprinted side of the well, it's essentially a rib, isn't it? And then just pop that into place, getting those little tabs into the slots provided, and then just press that home like so, and do exactly the same on the other side. It's a fairly simple, straightforward process, but as I said, just do this to enable us to control the amount of glue and where it goes. If we had these on the lower wing, then the process would not be as controllable, hence why I'm doing it in this order. So that's the difference with the 4-channel build, is that this is also part of the 3-channel build, but the other struts, obviously, in the 3-channel build, you are instructed in the assembly guide to attach the cabane struts as well. But in the 4-channel, it's a lot easier to do it in this order, due to having to thread the various control wires through. And just make sure these are all seated properly, because obviously the angles of these are critical to the correct installation of the upper wing. Good. There we go. There is one last little thing that we need to actually install onto the wing, and it's these rather wonderful little 3D printed, well, we call them bosses. They're sort of almost like a little sort of buckle, or not a buckle, what would you, a turnbuckle, something like that, that we thread. It makes the turning of the corner a lot easier for the thread, less friction, so that it doesn't hinder the servo too much. It doesn't put too much strain on it. As you'll see with these, they're encapsulated as well. What I mean by that is there are these little columns all around, so that when the thread does go through, it can't actually fall out or hop over to the other channel, so you don't get two wires rubbing together. So these actually, these can pop off and find their way onto the carpet, so do be careful. They're slightly larger than we have produced them before, which makes it easy. Now, on your build, on the well, certainly on the low build, the Ernst Udet's aircraft, there is a little graphic, a circle that shows you where to place these. I haven't got one on this one, although the production of a production model of this particular kit will have that on there. I just realized I've omitted it on here, so that'll give you a really good idea of the placement of it, but it is pretty close to the rib just there, and above the slot, or forward of the slot that actually takes the cable, one of the cables, up to the top control horn on the aileron itself. So it sits sort of around about there, pretty much next to the where those two struts converge, just there, and just a little bit of a gap between it and the rib itself, between the boss and the rib. So you'll notice on the other side you've got some very, very tiny, three tiny little spikes, and they're designed to be pushed into the foam, so that they sort of lock in position, if you like. And what we can actually do, it's quite difficult because of course you've got these little protrusions here, and if you try and push that out of the way, that starts protruding. So we'll put a hand underneath, I think, to just sort of experiment with the position. Now, as I said, hopefully you won't have to experiment with the position, because it'll be obvious. But for me, so I'm just going to pop it there, push it down a bit. There we go. So it pierces the foam. There we go. I've got a little position there. So what we can do now is just glue that in position. I'm just going to use the foam to foam. You could use CA. It's a warm day today, so hopefully this won't splurge out too much. Obviously we want to avoid getting any of this glue on the boss or anywhere where the cable's going to run, and then just try and realign it. There we go. Just pop that in place like so, and then just let that glue dry off, and that should be a solid position, and we can put some tension against that when we come to thread the wires. Right, I'm going to do exactly the same the other side, and then the wing is completely prepared for installation.